clothes, you know.
Really?
Yeah, I had all kinds of shrapnel that was falling out of my clothes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had all kinds of little scratches.
Weren't you wrapped
But
in
I
the
was
barbed
really
wire?
lucky. Anyway, that was my story. But it was a hell of a place. They really took the smear in there. And you know, that was hushed up. The Hürtgen forest was hushed up. Nobody talked about it. And if you mentioned it to any other troop, they never heard of it.
Was just your unit in that forest?
Oh no, there were
That was
about
the
78th.
78th.
Seven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The
I had a
29, the 2nd, the 1st, the 8th, 30-something, there were
Wow.
the 9th.
I mean, they were pushing guys in there because there were so many casualties. Both sides.
Yeah, there. Oh, never mind. I'm not talking to you guys. You guys.
Congratulations on making it back.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
back.
My dad was over there too.
Oh, you really? Yeah, that was
How you doing, buddy? Jordy. Oh, yeah. I hear you going on Honor Flight. October 30th, huh? 29th. This is close to Halloween. Hey, hope you little White House up there, right? I won't get down that Vietnam. Is
there anything I can do for you before I just sit back and listen to your wisdom?
There we got our books in. We got the book. We didn't bring any with you.
I don't think that would do any Ronald Bark. Ronald Bark, B-A-R-C. Air Force.
How you doing, buddy? You hanging loose?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You went on Honor Flight, right?
Sir,
You did, yeah.
name, rank, and branch of service.
Oh, back in the day. You need to go with World War II veterans, so you need to go again. Don't cost you.
Branch of service. Rank. Thank you, sir.
Oh, hey.
How are you, sir?
Well, hey, if you can...
Name, branch of service, and rank.
Sign up and get your sponsor. See, it cost him $450. Maybe $500. I went 25 times, and then I turned 65.
And what?
T5.
At 5?
They made me stop flying. I said they didn't want an old man push on me around.
Sir?
Wally Carlson, U.S. Army, Infantry,
Let's worry about England first.
Check Flag.
I need your name, branch of service, and rank, please.
Donald O'Reilly.
Donald Alley,
O'Reilly, capital O-apostrophe, capital R-E-I-L-L-Y.
branch of service.
CFC, Air Force MP. 16092908.
Sir?
Dan, L-E-N-K-A-F-T.
Lincart?
Luncart,
Lincart.
N-K-A-F-T.
Okay.
Army.
How are you, sir? Name?
Last name Gary.
What is it?
Last name is Gary. G-R-A-Y.
First name?
Jack.
Branch of service. Branch of service.
Air Force. T's and T.
Rank?
Ever first.
What's your name, sir?
Francis Sinenauer,
How do you spell that, sir?
S-I-V-E-N-A-L-L-E-R.
Branch of service.
First Lieutenant.
Sir? And what branch? Army?
I was in the Army, 182nd Air Division.
Americal. Way to go. How are you, sir?
Which regiment?
This is 7th Infantry Division.
Yeah. What?
We're Bravo Company to 60. We also need a 17th. 17th. Okay. We're a Alpha Company. We portray Alpha Company. What's your name, sir? Sure. What's your last name, sir?
R-E-T-Z-L-A-F. I'm a private person.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Your name, sir? Branch of service, Army.
PFC.
Thank you, sir. Semper Fi, sir. Semper Fi. At least one of us showed up.
Well, I've got to tell you, we could have something in common.
What's that, sir?
My last duty was at Lake Pierce, New Jersey, Naval Air Station.
Was it really?
And it was empty.
No kidding.
And some of the duty that wasn't complete.
I understand.
They love to sell the beer to the guys in there.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if they dropped that bowling ball too hard on when they were bowling, they wanted us to come in and pull them out.
I'll bet. What was your rank, sir?
Corporal.
And your name?
Diefenbach. Wes Diefenbach.
spell that last name, sir?
Diefenbach.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
I was with the 2nd Battalion, sir.
All right.
And your name, sir?
Clarence Bark.
Clarence?
Clarence Bark. Just like a dog.
Branch of service.
Navy.
Rank.
Aviation machinist mate, first class. AMM1C. You don't want to write that all.
First class petty officer. And you, sir?
Navy. You were in the Navy. Were you a SWAT jockey?
Rank?
Was I what?
Second one? Second class?
Well, I don't know when you say it. I had never done any
Name?
of it.
S. Richard Williams. 6 He ended up going in the Navy too.
I know you.
How you doing?
Real good, sir. Yeah, I know that. Name?
George, middle initial F, Havelka, H-A-V-E-L-K-A.
K-E?
K-A,
K-A.
Army, PFC. I'm a veteran of the Hürtgen Force.
I know you came by and saw us earlier.
Yeah, I got that from
Yeah, don't be out of uniform.
you bet. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Father Lloyd Bowman. He graduated from Westboro High School in 1938. He went on to World War II from Kendall County, and his name's on the old Kendall County Courthouse wall.
Really?
And so is the guy down there with the red shirt.
The reason we're here today is to honor these men. This is the greatest generation alive, ladies. This is the new one. We do have a small presentation to make, and then we're going to ask these veterans to speak if they want to. Give you a little bit about their experiences, where they served, what they did, and then we'll open it up for questions after that. But try to keep it brief because we're all tired. I know they're tired. So, Lieutenant.
Private Corps! Why do you have all these veterans in here out of uniform?
Sir, they're in reserves.
They're out of uniform! That's unacceptable! Lieutenant! Lieutenant, I'm a captain. Look at Lieutenant.
That's 2 lieutenants.
We may have a new private. Lieutenant, you have 15 veterans here that are out of uniform. How do you wish to deal with them? We'll have to deal with them directly. Gentlemen, when you left World War II, you were issued a ruptured duck. I do not see a single ruptured duck on a gentleman here. And I'd like to know why. You were out of uniform. Well, I tell you what. How about this? How about if we reissue that to you today? Would that be acceptable?
Yeah. No ruptured duck.
I think everybody has a ruptured duck. Like I say, they're all extinct now.
Does everybody know what the ruptured duck was for? I'm sure most of you do. All the World War II servicemen were issued this ruptured duck at the end of the war when they came home. We'd like to honor them and reissue them to them. gentlemen have been to the honor flight?
Folks, the reason they were given the Ruptured
Chad, I
Duck.
can't hear you.
How many of you have been to the honor flight?
Shortage. All the folks have been given
Yes, sir.
That's military goods when you decide to wear your uniform for 30 days.
If you ever have a chance
Problem is the MPs.
to help do the honor flight with these gentlemen, please do it.
This gentleman right here,
The women that produce
in the purple,
Yes,
going on October 30th, 29th.
good deal.
Going on honor flight.
Good deal.
okay?
They can always use volunteers to go with them.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, you take care of that
25
veteran.
times.
25 times. Good, great. Thank you. I have yet to talk to anybody as an escort that didn't have a fantastic time. It's quick, fast, and furious, 24 hours, out, back, but the guys enjoy it, so. Let's just give them a little bit of what they deserve.
Sergeant, we've taken over 5,000 veterans. Honor Flight Chicago has now.
Thank you, sir.
I don't get the flap because I'm over through now. Not giving you any honor flight.
Popular fellow.
Giving it to Concord House.
Chance to use it.
Same thing.
I know I kept mine in the drawer for a long time.
He is 28 years.
No, you can't do this one.
I can't.
No, sir.
Why is that? That's Marine. This is the Marine.
This is the real, I mean the Marine.
I was one of the Chesty Puller. If you don't know who Chesty Puller is, he is a cousin of Patton. And he is one of the best officers we've ever had.
Thank you for your service. Thank you. Sir, if you allow me, I'm going to pin this on you. This is the Ruptured Duck pin. You remember you got those after service?
You're kidding, I had one, yeah.
Yeah.
I had
You don't know
one
what happened to it.
I wound up in the Navy.
Oh. Sorry about that.
I was too.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I want to know which one of those 45s
Which one? What?
do you have a pole?
I have an
The one I have is a Infantry.
How you doing?
Not Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, one of my other events, but I want to see this Thursday morning. Got it.
No, sir.
My husband.
Captain, you hit the...
Oh,
Thank you.
how you doing, sir? Pretty good. Oh, Merry Christmas. Well, 342 out of St. Charles.
My son is in the
Honor
Navy
you
right now.
guys.
I've been up to St.
I found his son right store fine.
Well,
Yes,
good.
store fine.
We're open every Saturday morning for coffee and donuts.
Oh, you are?
Yep, 8 to 10.
He's 8.
Stop in and visit us
My
anytime.
son was in for
Good to
5.
have you.
Where are you located?
We're on North Smith Avenue, which is Route 25.
Nice to see you guys.
About a mile north.
It was all true. It was all good. Appreciate your work, sir.
Detail, then set. Set, arm. Two.
Thank you. I want to start down on the end down here. I want to talk to this young man. What is your name, sir, and what outfit do you serve with?
Hi, Paul. 1749 Sergeant, Flight. Where at? Oklahoma.
Thank you. You too, sir.
George Francis Hürtgen, U.S. Army, PFC, veteran of Hürtgen Forest.
He was awesome.
I've seen you someplace before. Yeah, you look familiar. Good to see you, son. Nice to see you. Yeah, I've seen you before.
Yeah, I'm able to see it again, too.
Hang in there. Good to see you, buddy.
Your name, sir, and where you serve?
Richard Williams, Navy, Pacific, all over.
Thank you.
It's a big pond.
Russell Diefenbach, United States Marine Corps, 1st Marine Division.
They never fail, do they?
Army, PFC,
Where'd you serve?
South Pacific.
Thank you.
Private first class. I served in the South Pacific, mostly in island hopping, lost my arm in Philippines, and I got the Distinguished Service Cross. Wow.
There you go.
And Francis Silanauer, and first lieutenant with the 182nd Infantry Division of the Americal Division as a platoon leader.
Where'd you serve, sir?
I served to the Philippines, starting with way down in Papua New Guinea.
Thank you, sir.
Jack Air Force.
What unit? What unit? I was Air Force, that's why I asked.
Sergeant, each bunch of your
I'm a Raleigh PFC, 8th Air Force in England with the 3 different bombs, 305th, 391st, and 44th.
Served in Europe under Patton, including the Battle of Bulge. Patton was the best general we had.
Yes, sir.
Served in Europe, 636 Tank Destroyer Battalion. That's 36 Texas Infantry.
Thank you, sir.
Your name and your rank, your service?
James, yes, U.S. Army, served in Italy, France, and Germany.
Thank you.
Staff Sergeant, Air Force, Busan, Korea.
T5, 34th Division in Italy for a year and a half when I was on the front lines, I was in the hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest generation alive. Has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask these young men? Don't be bashful. If they don't know the answer, they'll lie to you. Yes, ma'am.
After the war, was it difficult or easy or what to forgive the other side, the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians? Or was it, I mean, because in that movie, I think Company B, it seems like it ended when the war ended, that anger ended, and you could just be friends again. I mean, what was that like? Your feelings?
When I came back to the States, coming into San Francisco, I was amazed at the number of Germans that were there at the hospital to take care of us. And they were from Raw Mills, Winslow also, and his troops. And they were the cleanest, brightest looking bunch I've ever seen. And if you ask them for another piece of cake or another helping of ice cream, they ran to pick it up. And honest to goodness, they could shave looking into their shoes. Their shoes were so shiny.
Thanks, Russ.
Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, and this is to all of you, gentlemen. Were you first generation American? Did you have parents from various parts of Germany or the United Kingdom? Any of you that were first American generation fighting before the war?
Could you repeat what she said? It's hard to hear.
Could not hear what she said.
Okay, what she's saying, are you all, or any of you immigrants, or your parents were immigrants from Germany or Italy or Japan? Or are you all generation immigrants?
My grandfather was born in Germany.
Where at?
In Alsace-Lorraine.
Okay.
And even though his name was Pigeon, which sounded French, they actually pronounced it Preacher, and he sounded a lot more German than he did French.
How did that affect your choice to go fight, knowing that you had ancestral ties to Europe?
Well, when I was a kid, in my preteen, he actually lived with us when I was a young kid. And when I wasn't supposed to understand what's going on in our house, they talked German. 2 blocks away from when I was from 4th to 8th grade was St. Anne's, and they taught the kids German there. I went to 5 long blocks to St. Thomas's, where they didn't teach German. So part of our family went to this church, the other part of the family went to that church.
Thank you for your answers.
Any other questions?
How many of you fellows remember the song Lily Millane?
I'm sorry?
Lily Millane.
I heard the song, but I couldn't sing it. I did pick up a few words of German when I was a kid. Probably some of my swear words from my grandfather. Steinnecker, Buchenwald, get off my back.
Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? I want to turn it over to our event coordinator, Matt Milligan, who's done a fantastic job this year with putting this event together. I'm basically one of the event coordinators on Peoria we do every year. And Matt came to me and said, how do we do this? It's like, wing it.
do what you need to do, and he's done it. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. Appreciate you braving the weather. We weren't sure what it was going to be like. I want to thank all you guys for your service. Can't thank you enough for what you did. There is one story that I want to talk about. And look at Clarence. Clarence knew what is best described as the evil Knievel of the air. And at one time, while he was in Florida, he got to go swimming in the ocean. Correct? How and where did he land his plane?
Oh, what?
How and where did he land his plane for you to go swimming?
Well, you mean on the, well, we used to fly out to this sandbar, and we'd go swimming, and he could keep track of I don't know how he did it, but he just knew when the tide started to come in. He'd say, we got to get out of here. So we'd get back in the thing, and he'd wind it up. He'd take it down to the end of that sandbar, put it in flight position, lock the brakes, and rev the motor up, release the brakes, and we'd rumble down that sandbar. And the next thing I knew, we were airborne, but when I got back, I told him, you know, one of these days, you're going to take me out there for a swim, and we're going to come home without any legs. He was a great pilot, though, I'll grant you that. He knew what he was doing.
Well, good, thank you. Anyone else want to share anything? I know this young man has a bunch of stories.
How about George with his experience in the Hürtgen Forest?
Yeah, George, you want to tell us a little about our actual battle? See how close we were?
Well, all I can say is I'm a survivor of the Hürtgen Forest, and it was one heck of a place. Now, I'm not a very religious person, and I never believed in hell or heaven, but I know where there's a hell, and that was hell. The Hürtgen Forest was damp, wet, and cold. And when we moved in there, you have to go, you know, if you've been up to northern Wisconsin and Minnesota, you see how the forests are with the trees all in a line. You look at it this way, and you look at it they're all in line. They're all beautiful. That's the way the forest was. And in Germany, there isn't a thing in underbrush in the forest. Any underbrush is cut out. The locals pick that up for their firewood and cooking. And the floor is all needles. It's very neat. But when the artillery, the Jerry's and the American artillery would set their shells to hit the tops of the trees. The trees were about 60 feet high, just like cornrows. And when the artillery would hit the trees, they would burst and spray the whole area with shrapnel. And in the Hürtgen Forest, you didn't dig a hole and have a foxhole unless you could put a cover on it, because that shrapnel would just cover the whole area. And we were told when you're going through the woods to hug a tree, because when you're standing up, you're a smaller target than when you're laying down. So we learned how to hug a tree or take an enemy foxhole that you had a cover on. You wouldn't dare lay out because, anyway, it was cold, wet, and dark. It was always gloomy in the woods. Anyway, it was one heck of a place. That's all I can say. But I was lucky. On Thanksgiving morning of 1944, we pushed off, and our objective was the little village of Hürtgen, same name as the forest. And we were just a little south in a little east of Aachen, the big city of Aachen. And that's where the jump off was. They went into Germany, the first troops at Aachen. And our object was to get into the village of Hürtgen. And we pushed off, and on the morning of Thanksgiving, 1944, it's the last I remember, we pushed off, and I was going forward, and that's all I remember. I don't know, something blew me. I had the sensation of flying through the air, and that's all I know. And we pushed off about 9 o'clock that morning, and they picked me up about, it was afternoon, and all that day, the day before we were hearing that everybody on the front was going to get turkey dinner for Thanksgiving. And that's all we heard. Don't worry, you're going to get a turkey dinner. And they picked me up and brought me in to the aid station. And everybody said, "Did you get your turkey dinner?" We didn't. I didn't get turkey dinner that day. And the next point, they picked you up, and an aid man would help you. He'd bring you to the aid station, and they'd patch you up a little bit. And the next station was a field hospital, and they patched you up a little more. And then you went back to more patched up. And when I got to past the aid station where they were changing my clothes to put me in a cot, as they took my clothes off, the shrapnel was falling out of my uniform, out of my clothes. And there was a handful of shrapnel, and the medic was saying, "Look at this. This guy's got a handful of shrapnel in his clothes." Anyway, that was it. And from then on, I went into an ambulance. They took me a little further back, and then the next day I went on a train. The train took us to the airport in France, in Paris, and we were waiting to be shipped to England to a hospital. And the weather turned bad. It was cloudy and rainy, so we sat at the airport for about 3 or 4 days before they could get a plane to take us to England. And I went into England to the 22nd General Hospital in Southern England. And there, what was it, about the 23rd of December was when the bulge started. We were getting reports that Jerry's were coming through, and we could not believe it. Because when we went into Germany, we were told that we were going straight to Berlin, and we would be home by Christmas. Well, the 23rd of December turned the thing all the way around. So we didn't finish the war until May, I believe it was. Anyway, that was my story. And the Hürtgen Forest was my hell.
Like to have.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
What is it?
Lincoln. Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln.
Well, you'd have to understand that I'm now a shopkeeper in Springfield. Did I know Lincoln? Did I know Lincoln? Well, now, reckon so. But back a piece before he had to go with being president. That little oak chair still shows some of his whittle markings there. That pot-bellied stove should take some pride in all the times it warmed his tall backside. He'd lean back in that chair against the wall to spread his legs, kind of let them sprawl. But when he spoke, you knew just what he meant. You knew for sure just how that navel was bent. Did I know Lincoln? Say you do me proud by asking. His voice, you know, was neither loud nor brash. Its treble barely filled the hall. But his wit could nail opponents to the wall. His logic and sincerity should sway tomorrow out of following today. His step still echoes on this same old floor. His shadow, even now, will fill the door. You're quick to call him Abe, as if you knew. But those of us so privileged were quite few. This man was one of us who taught us all to speak to think before we spoke, who sought to understand both sides, who vowed to be a moving force to keep this country free. I'll listen to the anecdotes you'll tell. I'll see the books and souvenirs you'll sell. But I will not dwell on how he met his end. Just be content to call A. Lincoln friend. The world may little note what I say here, but yes, I did know Lincoln, and I cheer.
All right, guys, one more round of applause for all our veterans.
Thank you. If you get a chance, as the gentlemen are leaving, tell them what you think of them. Because I guarantee you, they'll tell you what they think of you. They're not bashful. So, further ado, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. We really appreciate what you've done. I know we're in pretty bad shape in this country, but we did a lot of work shape than you guys. We appreciate it. Thank you.